All right, it's the July edition of the Lost and Foundry Show 2024. We're here at the end of the summer. My wife's a teacher and we have the 3 little kids, so it's been really great her being home with the little kids. But I know she's ready to get back to work and do what she's passionate about. But it's bitter not.
My wife's a teacher also, and she goes back to work this week, and we need routine.
Yeah.
So routine is always good at our house.
Yeah, I go running in the mornings, and it tends to be where I leave before everybody's up. And by the time I get back, it's like chaos. All 3 of them, none of them can wake up past 6 o'clock.
Right.
They're all up crazy and doing different things, different places. And so, it'll be good to have some routine back in our lives too. So I'm here with Joey Daly. He's the Director of Development and Marketing, Chief Development Marketing Officer. We have our nomenclature.
Yeah.
He's over development and marketing. You probably know what marketing is. You might not know what development means. We're going to get into that in this podcast. Before we do, though, we've got a couple of announcement type things. End of the summer, we've been doing Summer of Prayer. It's been really good. I met with Eddie last Thursday, and man, there's a lot of stuff happening up at the farm.
You see some hens?
yeah. Lots of chickens. We got lots of stuff going on. If you missed that live stream, it's on our Facebook page. You can go watch it now. And the first thing was, I showed up at the farm, and where I live adjacent to the farm, I'm having to drive through a lot of country land to get up there. So it can be a bit of a laborious drive. And so I finally get to the parking lot and I pull in and I walk through the kitchen to get to the farmhouse. And in the kitchen are these 2 beautiful tomato pies. And so I was just drawn in, like the Looney Tune, like the scent coming in. And I was like, what's it? Summer of Prayer, it's been an incredible couple of weeks of people really showing up and praying and showing their support. We have a last great way that you can show up for Summer of Prayer, and that is our prayer walk. It is on August the 7th at 7:30 a.m. here at our worship center in Bessemer. So you just park in the parking lot next to the Women's Center. And what we're going to do is we're going to have corporate prayer where we together pray for the Foundry. And we're going to split up into prayer groups and do a prayer walk where we go station to station praying for very specific needs of the Foundry. And that's going to happen at the Cup where the women congregate. It's going to happen downstairs where Hope Inspired Ministries happens. So you'll get to see the Foundry, the life change, where it happens. Right. So we really encourage you to come be here as our last send-off for Summer of Prayer, kind of our send-off for summer. Yep. Right. So if you can be there, that'd be great. If not, thank you for praying at home. Thank you for joining us where you're at. Your support is more than appreciated. We really believe in the power of prayer, and we know that the work that you are doing at home really matters for our success here. So thank you for joining us. So I'm here with Joey, who you've been the development person since 2020, so about 4 years now.
Yep, started in November 2020.
Yeah, so, and it's a little bit of chaotic the time you came in, right? So it's post-COVID, and it's that COVID time, things are hazy, when things happen. And I know it is even more so for you because of, and we'll get into the nature of what happened with your work and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But, we're dealing with the chaos of COVID, and for us here at the Foundry, if you don't know about the story, I'll clue you in. When we shut down as a society in those 2 weeks, well, as a facility like us, we had to really delay that while things got under control. And because of the nature of our work, there was nobody here to do a lot of the work, right? And so a lot of us staff members decided we're going to go work at the thrift stores and try to raise money at the thrift stores to keep the Foundry floating for a while. And, that's what we did. And we spent 3 or 4 months. It was the end of the summer that year before things started trending back towards normal. And in the wake of that, our current development officer got a really great opportunity to do what he does at a different place that he loves, his alma mater. And then, so now we're in this weird COVID environment. We don't have a development person. Micah's doing that job, and we're looking for someone to come in and steady the ship in that, right? And then that's where you come in, and it's not exactly you like to come in somewhere stable and all that, but you're coming into a little bit of the chaos of COVID,
right?
So, but for you, that was an opportunity to shine, right? So talk about you showing up during that time.
Yeah, no, that was a unique time for everyone. I think for myself, both personally and professionally, it was a really unique time, and I felt I didn't know much about the Foundry, just to be completely honest. And I was approached with this opportunity and prayed about it and felt led to be here. So came in November 2020. As you said, the world, was still full on in the COVID craziness. And as a development professional, so when we say development, that's kind of just a fancy term for fundraising. A lot of what we have to do is meet with people. Well, with the world shut down, people weren't meeting with a lot of people at the time. So it was a very unique time to start here at the Foundry, just because anytime you start a new organization, there's a lead up period. You got to learn the organization, you got to learn how things work. But then when you have all the kind of complexities of the social environment, so to speak, it made things pretty unique. But you look at things kind of both sides of the coin, so to speak. So while it wasn't probably the most ideal situation to come into, I took it as an opportunity to really hone in on learning the Foundry, learning my team. You and Brandy were the holdovers and kept things going. So really got to hone in and learn kind of what makes you guys tick. And then we were able to really put together processes and plans that kind of laid the groundwork for really kind of where we are right now, and then where we're actually hoping to go here very soon.
I've met with lots of people and done these podcasts with lots of big wigs, important people at the Foundry,
Sure.
right? So you got Jackie leading the men or Tawana leading the women. Brandon's over all of the programming. You got Quinn, who's over enterprise, and you shop at thrift stores, and you may be interested in Quinn's part of it. Development's kind of this like hidden thing. It's like behind the curtains a little bit, right?
Sure.
And we don't necessarily poke our heads out and be like, okay, we're development, a lot. So talk a little bit about the passion behind what we do and why someone watching this right now should care about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you said it best. We like to kind of be in the background. However, our jobs, my job, your job, what we do is incredibly critical to the ministry, because I think of development as we're almost this like connective tissue between the great work and the stories and the life change that's happening here on a daily basis to an external audience. So obviously, there's a fine line there. We want people to be able to tell their own stories and their own voices, and I think we really we do a great job in doing that. And so really, it's almost taking the things that we do on a daily basis and creating a voice, raising awareness for the work that's being done here to connect people, in their own communities, their own church families, their own just regular families, to know that they're making a true impact and a true difference with their support and with their prayers. The Summer of Prayer is such a huge thing for us here at the Foundry. We have such an amazing kind of prayer team, prayer warriors, and that is a crucial thing for us that people can do, like you said, from the comforts of their home, right? It doesn't take a lot. They don't have to come here to Bessemer to do those things, but it's so important nonetheless.
Yeah. And, so we're doing lots of stuff here, whether it be marketing so that you hear the message, whether it be caring about our donors and making sure we hear what they care about, but also that they hear what we're caring about, doing the kind of complicated work of grants, and reaching out to those organizations. But it's also, we're busy developing internally, making sure the staff members are heard. Yep. And, so there, there's a lot of like inner working mechanism things that we're working on here.
We wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
But it's a joy to be able. I told someone this last week. It is such a joy and a pleasure. This is a job, and there are difficult days, and there are a lot of stressors that come with what we do.
Yeah.
But it is a true joy to be able to come in every day knowing that what we are doing is going to directly impact someone's life for the better.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a really great thing.
Yeah. And I would say that if you're watching this podcast and you matched one of those people that we talked about, whether it's a volunteer or a prayer person or a giver, it's our belief that that's all the same person.
Yep.
It's not individual people. So we think that at the end of the day, that the champions of the cause of those battling addiction, that champion is a prayer warrior. They're a giver. They shop at our thrift stores. They pray for us during their prayer time. They share the stories. They share their story. That's all the same person, and that we just want to help you on that path to live out that version of yourself that does all of those different aspects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I feel we do really well here at the Foundry is we create, how can I word this? We create multiple entry points to the Foundry for a wide range of people. Mm-hmm. So we're really, we're accessible to anyone, regardless of where they're coming to us from or how they want to access us. So, and that's why I know you've had Brandy on here, mm-hmm. and one of the volunteer opportunities that I talk about the most and that I talk to people and engage with people about the most is letters of encouragement.
Yeah.
It's such a relatively easy thing to do from from the comfort of your home, but just your words of encouragement sent to someone here at the Foundry means the world.
Yeah.
And it's such a relatively easy point of entry to the Foundry that those individuals that do that, they're making such a huge impact.
Yeah, I love that opportunity too, because when's the last time you got a letter of someone just saying, "You're doing a great job, way to go"? Like I don't even remember the last time I got a letter like that. Maybe 15 years ago.
The power of a handwritten note is unmatched.
Right. So we're constantly trying to think of ways to get you guys engaged and to not make it this laborious, impossibly difficult thing to do.
Right.
You know, we want you to be engaged and excited about what's happening here, because there is exciting stuff happening here, but our job is to communicate it in a way that makes you excited about it too. So let's rewind. You end up at the Foundry, and you know, it's this opportunity to do all this. But what are the kind of the events that led up to you being at the Foundry? And so, because, you know, some people might think, you know, these are the money guys or the marketing guys. They come from like a corporate background and they end up at the Foundry.
Sure.
But neither one of us have come from that background.
Sure. Yeah, so my background, I've had the pleasure or the luck to be in nonprofit world really since I got done with my education. Once upon a time, I got my master's degree in sports business, sports administration. So I thought I wanted to go down that path. I'm a former college athlete. I just really loved that kind of aspect of it. Did that for a little bit, but then got married, and my wife is from the Birmingham area. And so she got a job here in Birmingham. So that's what led us to come to Birmingham. My first job here in the city, I worked at UAB, go Blazers. I worked in the athletic department for a couple of years, and then I had the opportunity to work for the American Heart Association. So for the better part of close to 10 years, I worked at the American Heart Association doing development work, fundraising here in the state of Alabama. It was incredibly fulfilling and rewarding. I loved my time at the Heart Association, and it really set me up, I think, to take the next step. And then after the Heart Association, I had the opportunity to become executive director of a local nonprofit focused on youth athletes, sports safety. And then COVID happened. And so there was a lot of transition during that period. And our organization was one of those that was drastically affected by COVID. And so it was one of those things where I was at my lowest, from a professional standpoint. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And, but yeah, I had relationships in place. And so my predecessor here, John Rowland, we only are as good as the people that we follow, right? And John was incredible, and John still is incredible, and serves, and highlights the Foundry anytime he can get.
Yeah.
So, but he had moved on, and so there was a lull here, and so so I was presented with this opportunity to come here, and there's a lot of self-doubt. You didn't do I really? I don't know anything about the Foundry, and but and learning more about it, meeting with Micah and some other individuals, I just had this ease about me that I realized this is where I needed to be. And we talk a lot about the Foundry family, and a lot of that is just cliches, and you think like, oh, this is buzzwords and like jargon, but
sometimes you got to be wary about businesses that are like, oh, we're a family.
You're like, oh, I want to be. I already have a family.
I'm gonna pay you less, but we're a family.
But it just coming on board here, and then I think I came in, and one of my first opportunities was there was an all-staff meeting. It was Christmas time, and we were on Zoom because we were still doing Zoom.
About that,
And next thing I know, we're breaking out Christmas carols on Zoom. I'm like, okay, this is where I need to be, because it's. I'll tell you this, from a development and fundraising and marketing side of things, it makes our job, our collective job, a lot easier when the individuals that are a part of this ministry, that are working and serving, have so much passion for the work that they do. And so for us being able to relate those stories and relate that passion to our supporters, to the communities in which we're in, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, the recovery development world, it's not exactly the easiest one to be a part of. It's not puppies and that sort of thing. It's a difficult communication job here, but when you see the participants who come in and the low that they come in at, and then when you see a graduate and the high that they leave at, that difference, you say, I don't care how hard the job is, it matters so much that we'll take on that task and try to succeed better than we could have anyways.
It's like a tangible result almost, and we see it every day, right? So our offices are located here at the Women's Center, and so we see someone when they come in and they're at their lowest, but then they kind of go through that whole range of emotions as they start off here, but then as you kind of gradually see them week over week, the life starts coming back to them. Their eyes start to light up again, and you really see some of those transformations taking place in real time. That's why we do what we do.
So you talked about UAB and having to move to Birmingham with your wife. One of the most concerning things about Joey is that he's from Mississippi, South Mississippi, and he's a Saints fan, so I was the local Falcons fan. If you don't know anything about NFL sports, the Auburn-Alabama rivalry is very close to the Saints-Falcon rivalry, so that was very concerning for me when you first came in, that my boss is going to be a Saints fan. It's hard to swallow. We've gotten through it though.
We've gotten through it. We're both gluttons for punishment.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Sitting in our own misery.
Yeah, luckily it hasn't been like a one-way rivalry for the last. I would rather us both have been winners and taking a shot at each other, but we've both been loser fandoms the 5 years, taking shots at each other. So what is you're here at the Foundry now, and you've gone through a couple of different nonprofits. This is a much more kind of homegrown nonprofit in a way.
Sure.
And as you've been here, how has your passion and vision for your life or for this ministry have changed?
Wow, that's a great question. From a personal side of things, I tell everyone, I grew up I grew up in the church. I come from a family of good old Southern, small town Mississippi Methodist ministers. So my faith has always been something that that's been very important to me. However, I think it kind of got away from that a little bit. Just as you're going through life and just all the everything kind of in the world around you, you kind of almost drift a little bit. And so I think that's kind of why I say, the Foundry, this opportunity came at a time for me that was incredibly important. And I will say in the 3.5, almost 4 years that I've been here, my faith has just exponentially grown. And it's something that I don't ever think I ever knew that I needed, because I haven't had any issues, knock on wood. By all measures, have a really blessed life. But, and I think my wife will even say this, that since my time here at the Foundry, I don't know, I just have this peace. It's really hard to describe, but I just have this peace about me and just, I don't know, just feel favored.
It's amazing how when you're at the place that feels right, or that maybe is right,
Yeah.
how much the pieces of your life seem to come together.
Yeah.
Things can feel chaotic. You look at a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle, and if the pieces aren't together and don't match, it can look a little bit like chaos.
Yeah.
But, in a way, a puzzle is the least chaotic thing.
Yeah.
All the pieces are there.
Yeah.
Of a total picture, but you look at it and you go, this doesn't fit together.
Right.
You look at it, but when the pieces do go together, you go, oh, there's no chaos here. It's all order. I just
Right.
didn't see how the picture was.
I think too, and just to speak some of my kind of experience coming to the Foundry, sometimes you're tested and you have to hit your lowest before you can bounce up. And so I think for me, just in my journey, that's exactly what happened. You have a lot of questions and a lot of self-doubt, like, hey, am I good enough? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? But then, you're presented with this opportunity to come in and help lead and shape this wonderful ministry to help a lot of people. There's a lot of value in that. So
Yeah, I hope you found encouragement from that today, that maybe there's a door opening for you. Maybe you're at a low time. Maybe you're in addiction or you're right out of addiction and you're dealing with some struggles, that God will open doors for you if you'll stay true to Him and to His vision for your life. I promise there's doors opening, and that if you look for them, they're there. And usually the doors are open all the time. We just aren't looking for them, right?
That's the truth.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Joey, for joining us. Don't forget about Summer of Prayer, our prayer walk this Wednesday. I'll put out posts so that you can find it elsewhere on social media, or maybe it'll come to your email inbox. So thank you for joining us. I'll see you next week on the Olson Foundry Show.